Hi everyone, my name is Alex. I am the Strengths Program Coordinator for Western University's Student Experience. I'm here today to guide you through our virtual presentation of a strengths-based approach to becoming a Mustang, part of the Community Connections program. In order to get the most out of this session, there are two steps you need to complete. First, you have to take your Clifton Strengths Assessment. The instructions are on the Virtual Community Connections website. And after you've completed the assessment, it takes about 30 minutes. You should be able to view your reports by logging back in, and the report that will be used for this session is the Insight Guide report. It has a generic description of each of your top 5 themes, as well as a paragraph about your unique insights. So please make sure that you have those two things ready and finished for today's session. Okay, so we're going to start off with just a quick exercise. So I want you to think about some of the things that come up on the screen here and think about how many of them apply to you. Are you someone who talks to people in elevators, airplanes, grocery stores, and wherever you go, or are you someone who's a bit more quiet? Are you someone who starts making plans for the weekend on a Monday or a Tuesday, or do you like to kind of be more spontaneous and in the moment? And why? Are you a great gift giver, or are you someone like me who just gives gift cards all the time? When you go to a party, are you seeking out someone familiar to you? Are you happy to meet new people along the way? Are you someone who gets emotional while watching movies or TV shows or even those commercials featuring all those cute animals? And lastly, are you someone who enjoys competing with friends at sports, hobbies, or games? Maybe you're known as that really competitive person in board games, or maybe you're known as the person who would rather just play the social games to have fun. So chances are you probably said yes or no to a different combination of these 6 claims, and that's exactly how the Clifton Strengths Assessment works. And the reason we talk about your tendencies is because answering yes or no and why starts to give insight into your unique talents. And at Western, the strengths-based approach is all about talent. And we define talent as something that's naturally recurring, whether it's a thought, a feeling, a behavior, anything that's naturally recurring that we can use productively. So it might be being able to start conversations really easily, maybe thinking in a really logical or timely way, being able to influence others, being able to work well with numbers or see patterns in data, or just really having a positive outlook on life. All of these are talents that can be productively applied to your life as a student. The way we do that is because when we use our talents more often, we actually have more motivation. So we're more inclined to excel, to keep going, and to continue when we're doing an activity that utilizes our talents. We also find more energy, so we feel a sense of purpose. We feel kind of almost like a euphoria when we get to use our talents productively versus when we're doing an activity that doesn't utilize our talents, we can find that very exhausting, very draining of our energy. So if we can start to name and understand our talents a bit more, we can start to lean into them when it comes to our academic life as a student, our work life as an employee, maybe groups or clubs or other leadership opportunities as a team member or as a leader. We can use our talents in all those different roles that we play. So the question is, how do we dive deeper into our own talents? How do we maximize the natural feelings, thoughts, and behaviors that can make us excel in these ways? And the answer is Clifton Strengths Assessment. And that's the assessment that we've chosen at Western to highlight and to bring to you right in first year and to kind of we're hoping that you're going to keep them in front of mind as you navigate your own unique journey as a student at Western. And so this assessment was an online assessment of 177 questions, and it really identifies areas in which you have the greatest potential for turning talent into strength. It was created by a man named Don Clifton. He was one of the founders of positive psychology, and he studied at the University of Lincoln, Nebraska in the 1950s. He focused a lot on self-improvement and self-awareness in order to have a more meaningful, more purposeful life. The results from this assessment are compiled into reports, which showcases your unique top 5 town themes. So there are 34 possible themes, and the report that you get, that insight guide report, showcases your top 5 results. One of our absolute favorite things about this assessment at Western is how unique it is. The chances of you having the same top 5 as someone else in any order are 1 in 278,000. And the odds of you having the same top 5 in the exact same order, 1 through 5, are 1 in 33 million. So all that to say is that chances are there's no one on campus that has the same top 5 as you do. And you can use your top 5 in a unique way that no one else can quite utilize. So it is very much a very unique assessment that showcases how your individual talents can help you succeed. This is why some of your friends might do things a little bit differently than you, that you might find strange, or when you do things a particular way that brings you success, it doesn't necessarily work for others. Here's a list of all 34 Clifton strengths. You can see that some of them have really normal names. If we just bring my highlighter up here, for example, something like strategic, we all kind of know what strategic means. We all kind of know what maybe futuristic might mean, the dictionary definition of being able to look to the future, maybe always thinking ahead, making goals, making plans that always relate to moving forward in the future. Some words, however, are a little bit strange. So when we move over to something like woo, for example, woo is all about winning others over. It's all about that charisma. They love to be in crowds of people. They really enjoy meeting new people and kind of wooing all the people that they meet along the way. So that's kind of where that woo comes from. Something like focus, even. We know what the dictionary definition of focus is, being able to kind of maybe pay attention to something for a long period of time, maybe being able to stay engaged with one topic for an entire day. But in the Clifton Strengths language, focus means much, much, much more than that. Usually people who are high in focus, who have focus near the top of their list, maybe in their top 5, they actually are very good at choosing what to focus on. Not just great at focusing, but better at prioritizing, better at saying, this needs my attention right now, this can wait till later this week or tomorrow, and being able to switch to something of more importance really quickly. So I really encourage you to dive deeper into the meaning behind your top 5, because they don't necessarily just mean the dictionary definition. There are some important considerations when we think about our unique top 5 results. The first one is that all themes are neutral. So there's no good themes or bad themes. None of the Clifton strengths are inherently better than one another. There's no secret formula that makes you a better business person or a better physician or a better candidate for graduate school. They're all equal. They're never ever labels or definitions. So we're never going to assume we know someone inside and out because of their top 5. We're never going to say, oh, you must like this or you have to like this. You're an achiever, because like we said earlier, it kind of works uniquely for each individual person. You only see your top 5, so it's not a complete picture of who you are. We never want to put our whole energy and our whole effort into one assessment. It doesn't describe absolutely everything that we do. It's just a snapshot of how we might be able to get our best work done. One of the most common questions I get talking about strengths and the strengths-based approach is about weaknesses. And a strengths-based approach doesn't ignore your weaknesses. It doesn't say that you shouldn't spend time investing in strengthening your weaknesses. It doesn't say that you shouldn't be aware of your weaknesses. However, we want to level the playing field a little bit more. Typically, most students, especially first-year students, spend a lot more time thinking about what's going wrong, what they need to fix, what they have to get better at, and a little bit less time thinking about what's going well right now. What am I doing really great at when it comes to being a student? How have I used what I'm already really great at to be successful in the past? And how can I use that to move forward? These happen a lot less often, these kind of conversations. So we just want to shift the balance from maybe, let's say, 80% weakness, 20% strengths to more of a 50-50 balance. And that's where this assessment can play a really impactful role. Diversity should always be celebrated. When we meet someone with a different combination of top 5 than us, you'll meet a lot of other students who have taken this assessment along the way, along their journey at Western. We want to understand their unique top 5 and celebrate them and their uniqueness. We actually work better with people who have different combinations of Clifton strengths rather than an identical combination of Clifton strengths. So we want to make sure that when people have different themes than us, different strengths than us, we want to celebrate that, learn more about it, as opposed to see it as a sign of weakness. So now that we're a bit more familiar with the Clifton Strengths Assessment, let's go ahead and pull out our Insight Guide report and take some time to read through it. So this report is 7 pages long. It has a short description of each of your top 5 themes, as well as a paragraph that's called Your Unique Insights. And so this is a really important report because those paragraphs are 100% unique to you. Even if you have achiever and someone else has achiever, even if they're both the number 2 theme, let's say, in your top 5, they're not going to be the same. They might share 1 or 2 sentences, but those paragraphs are based on all 177 questions, the exact order of your full 34 Clifton strengths, not just your 1 through 5. And so those paragraphs are absolutely unique to you. So what I'd like you to do is take a few minutes to read this report, bring a highlighter or a pen or pencil along with you, and just highlight or underline what stands out, what sounds the most like you, what sounds a lot like you, what resonates with how you've already operated before. And just pause this video and take a few minutes to do that. It should take about 5 to 7 minutes. And once you're done, you can hit play. Okay, so now that you've finished reading through your Insight Guide report, take a moment just to reflect on what stood out, and was there one of your top 5 or maybe 2 that really resonated with you the most? For most students, 1 or 2 of their top 5 come to the surface, come to the top in terms of, yes, these sound like me, these feel like me. And they might also have some they have more questions about. Maybe there's 1 or 2 that you're not feeling so connected to, that you're not feeling sounds the most like you, and that you need to dive in a little bit deeper. You also might want to reflect on, is there 1 or 2 of your top 5 that you already use often in your day-to-day life? So it might resonate with you, but how do you use it to be successful? What are some ways that you can use it in a strengths-based way to achieve success? And just start to think about what that looks like and how you do that. This is called naming and claiming our strengths, and it's a really important exercise in terms of understanding how we've already used our unique strengths to find success in the past. That's going to pave the way for how we set goals and achieve tasks in the future. Now that we've had some time to dive into your report and start to understand some of the uniqueness that your strengths give you, we're going to talk a little bit more about the why. And this is important because strength isn't just something that happens in first year or in the first week of school and then goes away. It's something that you can take along with you in both an academic life, in your personal life, as well as your professional aspirations in the future as well. Most people don't successfully utilize their strengths as often as they can, and therefore they're leaving productivity on the table, they're leaving energy and motivation on the table, and not getting the most out of the most meaningful experience out of their university career. So we know that strengths are unique. We've said that often, and we can't say it often enough, but something that's important is how you invest in your top five. We say what we feed grows. So by focusing on the positive, by focusing on what you can control, what attributes and interactions make up your top five, you can get more and more positive use out of them and report more and more positive outcomes by using your strengths every day as a student. It also relieves the pressure to be great at everything. If you consider some of the role models in your life, whether it's a family member, whether it's a successful leader of an organization or a company, whether it's a professional athlete or star, no one is perfectly well-rounded. No one is great at absolutely everything. And therefore, we need to lean into the things that make us great in order to be the best version of ourselves. So we don't want to spend all of our time focusing solely on our weaknesses. We want to become the best version of ourselves by playing to our strengths. Here's a quick equation that summarizes what that investment will look like. So the first step is understanding your report, understanding your top five and the way you think, feel, and behave when you're at your best. The second piece is our role. So Western is going to give you opportunities to practice, to develop your top five, to learn more about your unique Clifton strengths in order for you to use your strengths more often in a near perfect positive performance or outcome. A lot of the research in positive psychology talks about the many, many benefits of utilizing our strengths every single day. From the student side of things, knowing your strengths and understanding them and getting the opportunity to apply them often results in more self-confidence, better GPA, better time management, as well as increases in engagement and productivity with your academic life. Strengths can play a role in almost every aspect of being a student. So whether it's course selection or your responsibilities in a part-time job, you can think about how your top five is going to help you maximize that opportunity. Maybe it helps you determine what role you want to play in a group or a club. Maybe it helps you set up routines based on whether you like to be a little bit more structured or whether you like a little bit more flexibility in your weekly schedule. It also will help you resolve, personal, professional conflicts or relationships by leaning into, your natural way of connecting with others. So they're relevant to all sorts of student activities, and we hope you start to think about your top five more often as you engage in these types of academic life. Now it's time to just pause and think about your past life as a student, whether it was high school or other schooling before coming to Western. Just take a moment, pause this video, and maybe write down, how have I seen one of my top five themes come up in my academic life? So be as specific as you can, because it's an important part of the process to think about, this is how my restorative has helped me be successful in the past. This is how my communication has helped me be a great student in high school. This is how my analytical helped me during exam season last year. So take a moment, pause this video, and think about how your Clifton strengths have helped you be a student already. One final element about your top five that we wanted to share with you is the colors. A lot of students ask about the different colors, and when you sort the different Clifton strengths into a factor analysis, what you get is you get four unique domains, and these domains have been shown to help build better teams, help make leadership decisions. And what this means is that the best teams actually have a combination of these four domains: executing, influencing, relationship building, and strategic thinking. Now, the important thing to note is that one person will usually cluster into one or two domains. So maybe you have a little bit more executing and a little bit more strategic thinking, and that's absolutely okay. That's normal. That's to be expected. It's when we start to build teams, when we start to build groups of people together, we want to look for teams that have a nice spread between the four different domains. Those teams tend to have better outcomes, better performance than teams that are all made up of the same type of people. And that goes along with what we talked about earlier in terms of diversity being an asset as opposed to a weakness. So take a moment, look at your top 5, and just make a note to yourself of what one or two or maybe 3 domains do you show up in the most? And how does that influence maybe how you might lead in a team setting? Our last activity today is we're just going to talk about how you can continue to invest in your top 5 once you arrive at Western. So there's lots of different ways, but the best thing to do, what we encourage you to do, is to embed your learning and act on it quickly and link it to things you already do. So when you're trying to adopt a new behavior or get into a new routine, you should look to your strengths to help you achieve that. And so there's lots of different ways that you can continue that investment in order to see your strengths come up more and more often in positive ways. One would be to share it with your family, friends, and classmates. A Share your top 5, read through your report with them. As you meet new people on campus this year, start to understand their unique top 5. Review the different resources. So there's lots of different activities and guides and modules on our Clifton Strengths portal. So that website you use to complete the assessment has a lot of resources. There's also lots of podcasts and books and other materials related to strengths. So don't hesitate to reach out if you're looking for more information there. But really, I think the last 2 are the most important. Incorporate top 5 into how you reflect, how you plan, and then intentionally aim your top 5 at your short and long-term goals. So when you go and set out plans for yourself, think about how your top 5 can help get you there. When it comes to Western and being a first-year student, there's quite a few opportunities that you'll get to invest in your top 5. One will be ASP, so an academic success program that starts during first semester. You're going to be using your strengths throughout that semester-long program to build your unique academic toolkit. So it's going to be tools based on your unique top 5 that are going to help you be successful in your entire university career. If you're staying in residence this year, every single first-year student in residence will get the opportunity to take the Clifton Strengths and use it with your dons in housing, use it in floor meetings in a lot of different ways. So if you're in residence this year, look forward to that opportunity. If you're an off-campus student this year, there will also be some opportunities for you to take your top 5 and learn more about your Clifton Strengths along the way during first year. We also have some leadership opportunities. So Learn to Lead is a summit that happens twice a semester that you can learn more about how strengths show up as a leader. If you're interested in learning more about building your CV or your resume or your LinkedIn profile using your top 5, if you're interested in talking about career opportunities based on your unique strengths, that's available to you at the career education department. You can go visit them at career.uwo.ca. If you are scholars electives, there's also a module for you during the second semester called Thriving Scholars. So you have that to look forward to as well. So no matter where you are in first year, whether you're in res or not in res, whether you want to work on your career stuff or your academic stuff first, there's lots of ways, lots of programs that have Clifton Strengths investment opportunities built in for you. The last thing I'd like you to do today then, now that we've talked about some different opportunities, is to think about some goals that you can use your top 5 during your time at Western this year. I'd like to invite you to consider one academic, one community, and one relationship goal for this first year that you're having based on your top 5. So I put some examples up on the screen here. Take a moment, pause this video, and try and create 1 or 2 unique goals based on the different aspects of university life. So academic life, community life, and relationship life. We hope you've enjoyed this module. It's been really fun to get to talk to you, and hopefully you've learned a little bit more about yourself, about your unique strengths, about how you can bring them more often to your life as a student at Western. If you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to email strengths@uwo.ca. that will go directly to me, and we can chat more about your top 5 opportunities for you to invest in your strengths, or any other questions that you might have. Thank you very much, and looking forward to welcoming you to campus this year.